Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing? My name is Leah Martinez. I'm the project manager for the Community Partnerships for Teacher Pipeline here at Rio Hondo, and we welcome all of you to our special education session. And we have Ruth Ellis as our guest today. So Ruth, it's yours.
Wow, I get to take it away right away. Hello, everyone. I want to thank Rio Hondo College and Emily and Aaliyah for welcoming me and asking me to do this presentation for Teach and Rio Hondo College. And the subject is how to become a special educator, but there's a little bit of overlap on that because a lot of what you're going to learn today may also sort of help you with understanding a little bit of the transfer scenarios related to just transferring from community colleges and even preparing yourself to transfer at any given time, as well as transferring into any kind of college program for teacher education. So it is somewhat specific to special education, but not entirely so. So with that, we're going to get started. I'm going to leave my screen like this because it's a lot more just tight to do it this way. So I hope that works for everybody. So what I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, you can enter into the chat. I know we're primarily from Rio Hondo today, but in case anybody from the Teacher Mentoring Network, which we publicize this as well, is here, enter into the Zoom chat. Your name, your preferred gender pronoun, the community college you're from, and your pathway and your major, and an emoji that shows us how you are feeling this afternoon. So we'd love to see that. So go ahead and just introduce yourself. Nice to see our squares filling up. We got some more people coming in, so we're going to give that some time. So again, you can tell us your gender pronoun, community college that you're from, pathway or major, and an emoji. Annette's feeling happy this afternoon. Anna's feeling happy, child development. Sleepy, yes. Thursday afternoon, feeling sleepy, definitely. Elementary school. Anybody else want to tell us how they're doing this afternoon? Introduce yourself in the chat. We want to hear from you. We want some active participation. Feeling happy, Maria. Thank you. Sarah, Chila. Hi, Sarah. Isha. Hi, Veronica. Alan. There's Isha. Hi, Isha. Anna, I see. Thank you, everybody. All right. Well, in all of our teacher mentoring network, hi, Alondra. Thank you, Alan. In all our teacher mentoring network events, we like to start with our grounding, and that because we are in CPTP, where we think about grounding and anti-racism is that we want to increase the number of teachers of color representing all of the communities in which we teach, and that I don't know if Nicole, you want to unmute and read the passage, or just read sort of summarize the passage. We would welcome that.
I definitely can. So it says, the beauty of anti-racism is that you don't have to pretend to be free of racism to be anti-racist. Anti-racism is the commitment to fight racism wherever you find it, including in yourself, and it's the only way forward. And what it's trying to say is that when you come into these spaces, you don't have to be perfect in your knowledge of equity or in anti-racism or anti-biasness. You're here to learn and you've shown up, and that's what matters.
So we're not here to talk about anti-racism, but we are talking about, diversity in our educational system. And we're glad that you're here, and we're glad that you're going to be representative of the students and the communities in which we teach. So we appreciate you in that way. We also want to acknowledge gender diversity, and that gender pronouns are the words that an individual would like others to use when talking to or about them. Everyone has and uses gender pronouns for themselves, and that we usually don't stop to talk about what we're doing, and that we want to make the events and programs and agencies more inclusive for gender nonconforming and transgender people, and identify which gender pronouns they use helps welcome gender nonconforming and transgender people. And it also helps everyone think about the everyday assumptions most of us make about gender identity. So we want to just acknowledge that, and there are some examples at the bottom. We also want to acknowledge that we are on borrowed land. Actually, this is not the right community. We were in San Diego just recently, so that's the San Diego community. We are on the Tongva, Gabrielino, and Chumash region. So I want to acknowledge that we are on the Keys, Tongva, Gabrielino, and Chumash communities, and that others that you may acknowledge in the chat, and that we are gathered on unceded lands and express our respect to the elders of those communities, both past, present, and future generation. And given that we are in the space of special education, I'm going to call out Aaliyah if she's here, if she would like to acknowledge this slide and read something from this slide, if she would unmute and do that.
Hello. Oh, sorry.
Ah, echo, echo, echo. Are you able to or no? I think we're going to wait a second. No? Yes? Give me a thumbs up if you can. I can't hear you.
Say it again.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, much. Still echo though.
Okay, can you hear
Much
me?
better. No.
If someone else would like to take it?
Who wants to take it from her? Anybody want to unmute and read the first one? Diversity?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Great, Isha, thank you.
So diversity, all the ways in which people differ.
Anybody want to read equity? Leah, you want to read it? Or you just,
I think we're going to be, oh, okay. No echo?
yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Go ahead.
equity.
Oh, we found it.
Equity, fair treatment, access, opportunity, and advancement for all people. One's identity cannot predict the outcome.
All right, and inclusion? Last but not least.
I could say, I think we figured it out.
Awesome.
A variety of people have power of voice and decision-making authority.
Thank you so much. Awesome. So I would like to show you this picture of Miss Alondra Diaz. She was the 2022 California Teacher of the Year. She's local to our Southern California community. She spoke at a teach event, I think last spring. Correct me if I'm wrong, Leah or Aaliyah. She was really brilliant. We do have, I think it's on the YouTube channel somewhere for our teach events, and she was wonderful. And so when you think about your journey as a teacher, she is an example of that journey. You know, she was, as we say, homegrown or grow your own. She came from the community in which she grew up in. I can't tell you exactly where right now, but she came from that community. I don't know if she went, I think she did go to community college. She went to one of the universities, local universities, got her teaching credential, went right back and taught second language learners and also special education. And she worked in a co-teaching classroom, and she became the 2022 California Teacher of the Year. And she said, fortunately, I had amazing teachers who inspired me along the way and believed in me even when I didn't. So now that we've got a bunch of students in our rooms here, in our room, we got a bunch of people. I don't know, Leah, can you create 3 breakout rooms? Are you able to do that, Leah?
Okay, we'll try to do it right now, Ruth. How
Yeah,
many?
that'd be great.
3?
3 would be great. And we're going to put you in breakout rooms for about 4 minutes. And we would love for you to just talk to each other and make the connection. And I can tell you everything you want to know about special education, but what's important is to just talk to each other about why you might be interested in special education. So we're going to just be a little patient. We weren't sure if we were going to have enough people to go into breakout rooms, but now we do. So we're going to thank you, Leah. So if you could just launch those breakout rooms, we're going to go into breakout rooms, and we would love for you to unmute and go into breakout rooms and talk about why you were interested in special education. All right, I'm gonna sort of
I'm here with you.
around.
Oh.
Leah's in there. Cole's in there, so I'll go in room 2.
Okay, I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah, that's great.
Why I wanted
How long did you want the breakout rooms for?
I was gonna say maybe bring them back, give them the 1 minute warning, because I said 4 minutes and we're at 4:17.
Got it.
Great, thanks. Have people coming back in. I see that Aaliyah put the sign-in form, so if you haven't done that, please make sure you do that. Let me, got my wonderful dog letting you know that he's here too. Can you hear me?
You sure can.
All right, great. Sometimes when I switch into my headphones, it doesn't go right away. So if anybody wants to share anything about what happened in the breakout rooms, feel free to do so. But either way, welcome Suzanne Edwards Acton, our Director of Equity Initiative. She's here too, so this is wonderful. And we're going to jump right in. So let me share my screen again. What's great about him, Aaliyah, is that he loves to distract me right when I need to really concentrate. So that's wonderful. So I want to share this page with you. First of all, before I get into this, I can, share all of my personal sort of recommendations and ideas around how to navigate the credentialing process and the transfer process and whatnot. And I do not want to give any misinformation. And so anything I give you in terms of information tonight is going to be from the Teach California website, which is the CTC, the Center for Teacher Credentialing, the Commission for Teacher Credentialing, because that we always want to come back to that, because I don't want to be the person that gives you information and then you go back there and you put all that effort into it and then all of a sudden you get the wrong information. I'm happy to answer questions from my perspective, but always check and check again, because everything in education right now is changing so quickly that what happened last year with credentialing could be so different than what's happening this year. And that is not to cause you any stress or fear. It's just sort of the reality of things. And so that's for that reason, we're going to go through these 6 steps to becoming a teacher, but not in depth, but just to give you an idea. And we are on sort of a time crunch, so we're not going to go through them in depth, but you'll get this. I'll talk to Leah and figure out how we can get this deck to you, and Nicole and I will work to make sure that you can get a copy of this deck so you can go back and find these resources on your own. And then of course, Rio Hondo has a ton of resources for you to further look into the resources that are available to you. But it's always really good to go to the source rather than get, people like giving you their parts of it. So when we click on this, and I don't know, are you seeing the new page?
Yes.
Perfect. So you get to this page, and as you see, the first page is we have what appears to maybe be a student with unique needs there. We have this landing page that says become a teacher. So you see that you've got you see up here, it says teachcalifornia.org. So that's what you want to either write down right now, or you'll get this, but Teach California is the actual website. And then we'll go through these in just a minute, but I want to just orient you to some of the things that you'll see here, so you don't get a little bit too disorganized in seeing this. So when you come here, you can go through this and like look at the requirements, but for you all who are community college students, those requirements may look a little different. You can go down here and look at the FAQ pages. You see that there's a virtual advisor, and then here there's probably a lot going on about finding a teaching job. And then here, because we know that there are significant shortages, that's, special education is a high need area. There's all sorts of a variety of routes to getting a special education credential, or what they call an education specialist credential. So before I jump into all of this, you're probably, you might get inundated with all of this, paraphernalia about, oh, come to this university, you can get your credential in 6 months or 5 months. I'd be very wary of that, so I'd really want to encourage you to make sure that you properly investigate anything, around those shortage areas, and whoever might be trying to help you get that credential. The community college is a great resource, and Aaliyah and Leah can certainly vouch for that. So if we come here and we go to these 6 steps. So you're probably doing this right now, deciding if teaching is for you. This is a long list. Why become a teacher? Are there programs to help you get a teaching credential? You can become successful as a new teacher. Yes. Well, a couple of other benefits is state teachers retirement, which is wonderful. Exciting things are happening. Learn the characteristics that are common for most effective teachers. I'm not going to read all of this to you, but I am going to go into some of the areas that really are important at this point and what you're wanting to learn. So you can go through these. All of these are linked. But I am going to go to what types of teaching there are, because that's going to go over the types of credential and what are the high need areas. So types of teaching. So we have elementary, secondary, and then special education, or some people call it special needs. And yep, I guess they're not going to put that preschool credential there yet. And we're going to come back to this page in just a moment. And then here are your high need areas. And as you can see, special education is right at the top, and you have math, science, bilingual, and there can sometimes be a little overlap with these, and then career and technical education. So I'm going to go right here to special education and teach students with disabilities in California. Oh, this is interesting. Let me go back. I want to see if they outline. Credentials. Nope. All right, let's go back. Go back one more time. Okay. So, special education. I want to show you what the 3 credentials are. Okay, so the preliminary credential, this is what you need to obtain the preliminary credential. Now, they're not talking about, it looks like on this, it's funny because they're not talking about the, there's 2 levels of credential, which is the elementary specialist and the education specialist instruction credential. I'm wondering if it's, we're going to talk about what we call mild moderate which are students with mild, moderate needs. They have specific learning disabilities. This is what you would learn in your classes. So I want to be sort of very broad about that. Those are the students that you see. And this is why I'm saying it's changing. And Aaliyah, since you're in the classroom right now, you could probably share this with me, because you might see students with all levels of disability, students who need mild levels of support to extensive levels of support. So, but your concentration could be in mild to moderate levels of support or moderate to severe levels of support. So if you have a question on that, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat, and I can go more specific into that. So this is what you need to obtain a level 1 preliminary credential, a bachelor's degree, the basic skills requirement, which is what they call the CBEST, or now they're allowing the basic skills requirement to be satisfied through coursework, and a subject matter competence requirement. You see an asterisk there. There is a different way to get that subject matter requirement through the teaching credential rather than a test. You have to pass a reading instruction competent assessment through the RECA, and then you complete a course or pass the exam through the U.S. Constitution requirement. And I don't know if you want to raise your hand or just give me a thumbs up if you're taking that in your general education classes at your community college level, because that can actually be satisfied. Quite a few courses can be satisfied already at your community college. Gustavo, I will take your question in just a minute, and then you complete a commission-approved education specialist credential program, and we'll talk about that in a minute, because that's where you get your credential. So your bachelor's degree, like if you go to Cal State LA or CSUN, that's where you get, yes, you are going to get this recording, I think. Thank you. So that's your credential. We're going to talk a little bit about your credential, how to get the credential. Gustavo, go ahead.
You asked them to raise their hand. Like, tell me if you're doing something, and I think that's what was happening.
Oh, Gustavo, so you're telling me that you are taking that, the U.S. Constitution class. Is that why he raised his hand? Thank you. Lost track of that. Thanks, Suzanne. So I'm actually going to go back to so if you go to this page, which is under the 6 steps, or it's also under who are you? So there's a little bit of overlap. It says, who are you? A high school student, college student, or you have a bachelor's degree. So if you go in here where it says college student, if you're a student in a community college and you click that, you hit submit, and you want to teach special ed, submit it, you can, sorry, come on. You can click these, it's not behaving. There we go. You can click these boxes where it says, I want to participate in a teacher recruitment program at your community college, which you already may be doing. So if you click these, you want to, am I losing my, it's not letting me click. Maybe you have to print it. Because it let me click before. You go through that, it's still not letting me click. Okay, it's being a little funky. Let's go back. Anyway, sorry about this. I practiced this before and it was letting me. Anyway, you can go through this you can go through this checklist, and this will tell you what the basic skills requirement is, and it'll help you create your roadmap. And then you save your plan, and maybe that's where you have to go click on it. So you can go back to the 6 steps and then find the right program. So if you go here and you can find your community college teacher prep pipeline, which we're going to skip that unless we need to go through that. Or you can find blended or integrated programs or alternative programs. So I'm going to go back, and I want to get to and I know I'm going through this very, very quickly, but like I said, this is just a very broad strokes. I think I might have lost my. Trying to show you the map. Here we go. So I think I said this before about finding the right program. There is the college one. 2 great things. If you want to find when you get ready to transfer the assist program, you can figure out your coursework and you select a college. Let's just say Cal State Bakersfield, where there's a community college, if it's like, or Cal State LA. I didn't try this for actual coursework. And you can figure out what units you've taken and how you can transfer your units, how many units you can transfer and how they transfer. I want to go back to my slides because that's the part where when you research your pathways, you want to go to your transfer center and make sure that when you get ready to transfer to those community colleges, you have everything ready. So the first thing you need to do is decide which college you want to go to. So you check in with your transfer center and make sure that you're ready to do that. So when we talk about that program, you can check your college and it tells you, you can type your college in and you can use this dashboard and it'll tell you how to navigate the transfer center. I don't like how this works because I thought, where's California? There's a college navigator in here that tells you where all the California colleges are. Sorry about that. Okay, go back. So when you go to Okay, see this map? When you're ready to transfer, you have 23 state universities. These are all accredited universities. So these accredited universities, you can click on all of these. So if you want special education teaching, that helps you narrow down where you want to go. You have private to choose from. You have the UC system, LEAs, which are local education agencies like county offices of education. So let's say you want to go to Cal State Dominguez Hills. You want special ed. So it's really not well designed because you have to go like this. And then it shows you what's left. So you can go mild to moderate, language academic of development, mild, moderate support needs. And then if you hit apply, you go like this. It says Cal State University, Monterey Bay. Doesn't want to roll up. So it's a very antiquated system. It takes a little bit of patience, but you can see like there's private universities and it's color coded. And that's like what I was saying before around making sure that you find the right university. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. I'm going to go back to this, to the 6 steps a second. Doesn't want to go back. Really? No. So if we go back to the 6 steps, finding the right, going here and researching the types of teacher prep programs. I'm going to stop sharing. I want to ask a question and I'd like you to put it in the chat. If you are thinking of transferring, where are you thinking of transferring to? If you're at that space yet in your teaching, in your coursework, about how far along you are in your coursework. Cal State Fullerton, UCLA, Cal State LA. So if you were to go to that CTC website, you'd most likely find special education in that area. If you make the transfer, when you're getting ready to make the transfer, so for Tulia, if she's not sure yet, she definitely wants to go to that website to make sure that, number one, you have the right coursework. So going back to the slide that I was telling you around researching the pathways around the education specialist credential, I'm going to put it in the chat. And it's a mild, moderate. Then you have education specialist. Then you have, I don't know if it's education specialist. I forget what they call it now. It's not ED. They don't use ED anymore. They use these two mostly. Different colleges use, they might lump some of the other needs into those with different authorizations, like multiple handicaps in terms of physical ability or disability. So because that's still changing, I'm gonna share screen one more time. So we talked about gaining experience, researching the teacher pathways. So for somebody that's not sure where they're going, I'm assuming those of you that are going to Cal State Fullerton, UCLA, you're meeting with your counselor, you're planning your transfer. This is the link website to go to the transfer center at Rio Hondo College. So we also included Cerritos and El Camino. You want to find out how to meet that basic skills requirement, either through taking the CBEST and then researching that teaching credential program. Because if you're going to take that credential program and get your bachelor's degree at the same time, that's much more efficient than going and getting your bachelor's degree at a college and then going to another college to get the credential. So I'm going to stop sharing and I want to see if people have questions. You can drop it in the chat. You can unmute. I know I went very quickly through that website, and that was by intention because it is not for you to see that all on screen and me to go in depth. That's for you to do your own research because everybody's needs are different. So I'd like you to unmute and ask questions because that's what this is for.
Hello, really quick.
Good.
Turn it on. Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry. I know the thing. Just really quick for the students who are looking up for credentials or where you want to transfer to and all that stuff. Just remember to really do your research on where you want to go to. And a lot of programs are having a new cohort program for special education. Cal State, Long Beach and Fullerton are about to start this cohort program to add an undergrad cost and all, which makes a big difference if you're going as a post-bac because money makes a difference. When you go into your credential program, especially into special education, there are a lot of grants available that go up to 20,000. There's all those information so that way if you're really thinking about going into special education, even if it's something that sparks your interest when you're doing an undergrad class, take a special education class. I am in a general education settings. I have 7 students with IEPs. I have 2 students with 504 plans. And I have a student who's pretty moderate autism. And luckily, because I took some undergrad classes on special education, I felt like I'm able to accommodate him more. But if you can, take those classes because they're really blending them with the general education. And you're just like, how do I meet these IEPs? How do I meet these 504 plans? And all. There's so many different terms nowadays with so many students and all. My class, I need a whole row of front row students because some of them can't see the board. And that's some type of, visual and all can be some type of a disability too. I know for me it is because I'm blind as a bat without my glasses. And also, whenever you're looking it up, look for a school that's really going to support you and support your needs. And I'm always an advocate of Cal State Long Beach, but Cal State Fullerton has an amazing program because it's going to be cohort, and that means that you can get more money through grants. And if you want to talk about grants and how to get more money and scholarships, I'm always open to helping you, especially in these high needed areas. And grants is free money. And so always thinking about those.
So going back to exactly, thank you. That was a good segue, Aaliyah, to what the specialty areas are. So I've been teaching for a very long time and in education. And when I started, there were like, I don't know, like 8 different credentials in special education. And now I just brought it up on the screen. You can see there's 4 specialty areas. So you have the mild, moderate support needs. That includes specific learning disabilities, mild to moderate support needs, including, probably but not limited to, autism, emotional disturbance, intellectual disability, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairment or other health impairments, specific learning disability, traumatic brain injury, and authorizes service in grades K through 12, transitional kindergarten, and classes organized primarily for adults through age 22. But as Aaliyah said, it is changing very quickly right now. It could mean that you are co-teaching in a high school setting in science and math. You might not be in a self-contained classroom, or you might be, which means it's, again, changing quickly. Extensive support needs includes autism, deaf-blind, extensive support needs, somebody who is nonverbal, may have a feeding tube in a motorized chair, extensive intellectual disability, multiple disabilities, emotional disturbance, traumatic brain injury, authorizes services in grades K through 12, transitional kindergarten, and in classes organized primarily for adults aged through age 22. Then there's deaf and hard of hearing, and that is a very specific credential. You will train in a classroom of deaf and hard of hearing students using sign language, using augmentative communication. Not that you wouldn't do that in those other classrooms, but it is a very, very specific credential, as is the visual impairments credential. Includes blindness, visual impairment, deaf blindness, and authorizes services through birth through 22, as does the deaf and hard of hearing. The early childhood special education credential, that has been in place for many, many years, includes mild, moderate support needs to extensive support needs as listed above, and authorizes service to children ages birth to kindergarten only. So you might have been hearing about the early childhood credential that's starting, but that's not for students who might qualify for special education. So that's a very unique credential as well. So again, as Aaliyah said, and I've said quite a bit throughout this presentation, it does require you doing quite a bit of research. I'm going to show a little profile of a couple of schools. As I showed you the assist.org, you can actually plug in your transfer courses. I know some of you might be mid-career professionals. Maybe you had a career. Yes, thank you, Leah. Please feel free to ask questions and write them in the chat. You might be mid-career professionals. You might have had a job and a degree, you know, in a previous life, and you want to know if some class you took years ago might apply. Use that assist.org to let you know. I'm going to click on these 3, that's the link that I just showed you, different universities. Cal State Northridge, California State University, Northridge. They actually have their own department, their own college of education. They have been doing this for a long time. As Aaliyah seems to be partial to, I believe she said Cal State Long Beach. I happen to be partial to Cal State Northridge. I did my administrative credential there, and I did my special education credential there. They've been doing this a long time. Dr. Amy Hanreddy wins Caltech Memorial Award. So we'll be seeing her do that, receive that award in a couple of weeks. So we're very excited about that. They are pioneers in inclusive education. They have their own inclusive preschool. So if you are interested in early education, you would get an opportunity to actually do some work there. They're really always at the forefront of a lot of work in special education. So wanted to share that one with you. They are amazing. Then we have UC Riverside. Their teacher education program, they offer, this is another thing again, do your research, do your research, do your research. If you want to get a special education teaching, yes, that's a great question, Anna. Can you study the credentials online? To some degree, yes. However, many of the colleges for the undergraduate work as you're getting your bachelor's degree and as you move into getting your teaching credential will likely require some in-person classes and work. Because you'll be doing simulations, you'll be doing group work and group lesson planning. How I can't say much. I mean, maybe Aaliyah can maybe speak to that in a little bit. But as you can see here, there's this little spot where it says education specialist credential. So some colleges, so be very careful when you research, some colleges will not allow you to get that specialist credential unless you are in the master's program. So for example, Cal State Northridge, you can be in the bachelor's degree program and be getting classes towards getting the teaching credential while getting your bachelor's degree. And also Cal State, UC Riverside allows you to do that. There was another college that you couldn't, that I was researching to present tonight, that you couldn't do that unless you were getting your master's degree. You had to have all your bachelor's education courses. Then you went in and got your credential as part of your as part of your master's degree. So be very careful as you do your research and ask a lot of questions. And finally, again, as Aaliyah said, you find what works for you. And just because it's a private university, oops, that's weird. Well, for some reason, that link is not working. Let's try it again. Oh, Loyola Marymount. I will try to refresh that link another time. Loyola Marymount does have a school of education with a special education department, and they are also quite good. They are a private university, and that might work for some of you. Maybe you need that kind of environment. And as Aaliyah said, there are grants, there are scholarships, especially in shortage areas, which is special education is definitely one of them. It is definitely a area that, you know, they want to fill those positions. They want people who really want to do the work. And so if you're thinking about a private university, don't let that deter you. I want to end with this. Take a look at this.
When I was a student, I'd write long essays that I'd work on for days. But now I'm writing short emails and messages all day, every day. Grammarly has been a lifesaver. Here's an example of an email I wrote at work. With just a few clicks,
I got into special education to make a difference for our students that were struggling and needed extra supports to be successful in the classroom. And I wanted to make sure that students that were identified for special education really belonged in special education, and that we weren't missing their needs, whether it was through our learning environment or curriculum or other items that were, in place in the classroom that weren't really helping or assisting them to reach the state standards. Once I got into special education, I fell in love with it, and I really realized that there was a need for both our administrators and our teachers to gain knowledge in special education. I felt like that was a big gap. That we had a lot of knowledge with our skilled special education teachers, but that we needed to think a little bit more broadly than that.
So I was approached about a position with special needs children, and I was a little fearful because I really didn't have experience. I, by accident, became engaged with the students before I was engaged with the people that were interviewing me. They were discussing something that they didn't understand, and the teacher wasn't in the room, and so I started talking to them about the subject that they were having a struggle with. And over the intercom, they said, "Mr. Weinroth, when your lesson is finished, we're waiting for you in the principal's office." And from then it became my career.
A special education teacher, and a high quality special education teacher, can make the difference between leading an independent whole life as an adult and being, in worst case scenarios like institutionalized or living at home and not having any sort of decent post-school outcomes. And so really the driving force for why special education is kind of that idea of results, equity, and inclusion, that all kids should belong by default, and we have a moral and an ethical imperative to build systems that allow them to do that.
I wanted to be that voice for students and be able to speak up for them, and I enjoy every moment working with the students. So when I talk about them as though they're my kids. So my family is actually, they have to consider, am I talking about my real kids or am I talking about my student kids, because they're all the same. So I just wanted to help make a difference with the students and know that they'll be successful when they get out of high school.
So that's all we got for tonight, and feel free to tell us how we did, or I did actually. I know this was really a Rio Hondo event, but if you feel like letting me know, we have a little survey. We like to know how we did. This is the first time I've ever done something like using like other websites, usually all my content. And I know it was a lot of information. I definitely want to direct you to Leah and Aaliyah for your more information around transferring. And again, research. If you did not get that information from me, then I did not do my job. I am not here to give you all the answers, because it is not for me to give you. It's for the CTC and for the community colleges to give you that information, because I definitely don't have all those answers. And as we know, Aaliyah, right, it's changing every minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone to go ahead and click on the link that Aaliyah posted on the chat. Also, for our Rio Hondo students, obviously, we have a counselor that you can reach out to if you also need some information, further information as well. And of course, I'm sure Cerritos and El Camino, make sure you reach out to your counselors as well. And thank you very much for being here. Thank you. And thank you, Ruth, for being our speaker for tonight, and Suzanne and Nicole supporting this session. Thank you so much. Have a good.
Thank you all for sitting through all that, because that was a lot of information. And you know how to get in touch with me through Leah and Aaliyah if needed, but you are in good hands with those two for sure.
Yes, and this has been recorded. The session was recorded, so we will make this available to all participants, especially if you sign in this link here. Emily will be sending you the recording Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Leah and Aaliyah,